Okay. Let's see. Okay, sound looks good. Welcome, welcome. So yeah, been all over the place the last few days. Last week, like the end of last week, I needed to do some research to plan a trip. Need to go see my parents. Gonna have to fly. Needed to get a hold of some airplane tickets. Yeah, that's usually the crucial thing. But also took care of some stuff that was bugging out, so I had to pull away from that as I was building more of these prefabs. But I think at this point, for what I'm doing in the level so far, what I have is sufficient. I have enough variety to start laying things out. Um, Hold on. Sorry about that. Oh boy. Thought I... Okay, this app is acting up. Sorry. I've got a diabetic cat, and I have an app tracking his glucose level, and sometimes it goes off when the connection breaks. And I have that turned off, so the app is pretty fucking annoying, man. Like it'll go off, and it's not even like a low glucose alarm. It's just losing connection, and I have that turned off, and it still does it. But okay, getting back to this, at this point, I think I could start going in here and placing more detail into the levels. Like I could spawn the prefab, move this over, and sort of just lay it in there. Get the level nice and detailed. Let me turn that off. Okay. And then, with this tool, I can kind of cycle, like re-roll the prefab to get one that I actually like, stamp it in there, or just let it do it randomly. Either way works. And it's been working like a charm so far. I mean, I did run into a couple issues last week after finishing the tool, but it's going pretty well. I mean, it's getting the job done. I can get things like this set up pretty fast. As you can see, we got a little more detail in there. We got the chairs, the umbrella, a random item or items on this little center table here. Like it changes. So it does different arrangements. It kind of cycles through different kinds of arrangements I've set up as data assets. And I'm glad I took the time to build this, because doing this by hand was going to be a pain in the ass. That's not time I was willing to lose. That's a lot of time it takes to just set these little things up. And again, I could have built this in the level and gone and selected all of these and, alt drag, but that still takes time, going in and selecting every little piece. That's still a pretty time consuming process, so I'd rather do something like this that randomizes the placement. It gives me a little bit of control over how and what is going into the level. Now I got ideas of other stuff I want to build as far as arrangements like this. Like I have different sun chairs. Actually, one different sun chair, which is like a white canvas instead of the orange that you see right now. The fuck is that? Okay. But, even making these prefab arrangements takes time, and I think I've done enough to the point where it's like, okay, let's start populating the level. I think I've spent enough time building the prefabs. Now it's time to get them in there. And I wanted to go a little further with this tool, but I don't want to spend too much time. I mean, it probably would do me a little bit of a benefit, spending time learning to build tools by just going to town on this tool, going a little further with it. But, I do have a good amount of level work to do, so maybe I should get that going. And as I'm working, maybe I'll run into situations where I'll be like, you know what, I really should add this to this tool because it would help. I think that's a better way to work. But right now, it's getting the job done, and I think it's time to start, populating the level again. So, so far, got that. Already done this area. This area here was done. This one. And the bus stop. All that's in there. This area is done. Like, just putting in some props, decorating these areas, get some greenery in there. I want to add something to this area here, like along this edge, along this wall. And I'm still thinking, like, no, you know what if I, in the finals, model, there's a doorway here. But I mean, do I really need that? Maybe like a sliding door. I don't want to make the space too claustrophobic, but I'm thinking, like apartment complexes like this usually have like little yard areas that kind of line the common area. But, I mean, maybe that's what I should do, is kind of dictate what this is gonna look like in the end by placing these assets. So I was thinking of making like a fence, have it kind of stretch along here. I don't know if y'all have been in these apartment complexes where they have like a little patio outside, and usually the front door is either within a hallway inside the building or to the outside. But right here, I think I'm just gonna have that be this area, and then maybe entering the hallway would go this hallway into the wings. Of course, it's not going to be an enterable building, but I just want to kind of picture how I'm going to have the final building look. So I think maybe, yeah, have there be like some sort of like yard along this area, or at least something like this. And I really wish I had a corner piece for this. That would really help. Maybe I should make one. I mean, it wouldn't hurt. I just need to take the time to pull away into Blender right now and bang that out real quick. Still kind of thinking that area over. Yes. Where did I leave it? There we go. Okay. I don't want to lose that. Let's see. I'm going to jump over to... I have it in categories too, so I can go over here. I can go over to like garbage clutter, and bam. We've got garbage clutter that I can place. I still have to... that's another thing I was doing too. I need to finish the rest of the levels because we do have clutter like this in other levels, other maps that I need to replace, because the clutter we have in those older maps are actually a merged static mesh, which is what I don't want. Like as I was saying last week in my last stream, that I want these to be separate objects with physics applied to them, or physics objects that will react to a vehicle driving through them, so that they react separately, not as a whole merged mesh. And that is something else I have to finish, which means I have to pull away from San Francisco to do that. I think these are fine. They're separate. I decided against separating the lids, so this will look kind of silly tumbling without the lids flapping over. I mean, we don't have any mechanics or animations set up for these things to flip open, and it would probably be overkill for a game like this. I'm not trying to get too wild with it. And I don't want to make it harder for the programmers to have to add something extra because I decided to have the trash bin flaps fly open when it gets hit. Let's see. I'm looking for places where I can put more garbage. I'm going through this map block by block as well. I think that's fine. Probably should put a dump somewhere around here. Nah. Over here, definitely. I'll start building up this part of town. I'll leave that right there. And finish this track. Shit. Completely neglected the track here. Kind of sucks that I have to rebuild this track. I already had it, put in. When we transferred everything over from the old build, a lot of shit got lost because we're not using many of the earlier versions of these blueprints. A lot changed, and it just meant I needed to replace some of this stuff with updated blueprints on how we construct this. See what else I can add around here. I could probably add more tables on this side. Well, let's keep going. Let's continue with this track here. That needs to be deleted. That's the old version. That doesn't really work anymore. Okay, I'll use this one. That. This up too, so this piece is going to be separate. Later down the line as well, we're going to take time to put together a better system for building these roads and stuff. Like right here, as you can see, it's getting laggy. It's terrible. Like I can't adjust this carefully because it lags really bad. It's worse with this mesh too, and it's not even that detailed. It's not a very highly detailed mesh. I might even just have to forget that. That's pretty lame. And do a different piece for that turn. Because this blueprint, I don't know, I could extend that using the blueprint. Let me push this aside. I want to see if it still lags. Alright, so I can go here and I even forgot how to do it. Cast. Closed loop. There was a way to extend that. Add blueprint brush. Add link roads at end. Add link roads at start. I think it was this one. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if this still lags out. Okay, something weird's going on there. Yeah, it is the rail. Why is it showing it like that? There it goes. Okay, just needed to update. See, that's why I don't like using it like that. It starts doing weird shit. I mean, it's not lagging. It's not as bad as just pulling it off that one piece. Just adding the segment via the blueprint rather than copy and drag. Works a little better. Bring it to where that old piece is. I mean, now that I have all these in one level, I could probably get away with doing this. Because another thing that used to happen when I would add that piece at the end of that one blueprint, or the base blueprint here, if we had the roads in separate grids or separate levels, we have them in one right now. If they were in separate ones, and then you unload one level, but it spreads across two, you'll run into issues where this thing will bug out and it'll like shoot the track off into like a random direction into infinity, and it looks weird and it's kind of annoying. So let's see how this goes. I mean, I'll do it like this, the way I intended it to be used. I mean, it's not a perfect tool, but it fulfills its purpose. Go to this side, all right? I'll have to select that segment. Go back here, add link road at the end. It should be the same one. Yeah, okay. It's moving it in a weird way. Turn that off. Bring out that tangent a little bit, and I think that's good. And I could drag that one out since it's still fairly short. I also don't like the way it moves the tangent when you move the new segment. It screws it up, so you have to come back and readjust it. Hopefully it doesn't lag. Let's see. Okay. It's good. So this track will come down this street, turn here, go around the block, and then back up this street and reconnect this rail for the return trip back down the coastline. Goes all the way to the stadium, and then all the way down to the southern area where you have all the or you have the metro station and warehouses and all that good stuff. And on this side, going down this, not this street, shit, maybe I should have it go all the way over here. Or have a separate track. So I'll have a separate track going off this way, turning at this street, going all the way down into downtown, down this street. And I think this is where I chose to put the other station. Is it? Yeah, I think that's it. So I'm going to tear up this street, make it a dead end, and put the other, what do they call that? The little turnaround for the trolley. So at least we have that in there. You know, if we ever decide to do anything else with that, like actually make it something that units can ride around the map. But we'll see. I don't know if we all want to go in that direction. It has been talked about, but it's going to take a good amount of work to get that thing to work the way we envision it. And the biggest question is it possible and will it work? Yeah, it just takes the work, that's all. I mean, do the work. Sometimes you just have to do the work. Is that too much of a sharp turn? No, I think it's perfect. Okay, I'm gonna actually take this piece here, copy it. Oops. Start laying the track. That's gonna go in that direction towards downtown. Now in real life, the way this is set up is way different, but you know, because of how much of the original map I had to cut back on and trying to squeeze all these cool landmarks that are in San Francisco into the game, or at least the major ones. You know, I left out a good amount. I had to change it up, especially with the way this station right here is set up. The one by the Fisherman's Wharf. You know, it doesn't actually go that like this. It actually comes directly out of here and down that street. No, sorry. It should be here, is what I'm saying. It should come out of this and go directly down that street. And originally I had it blocked out that way, but the fact that I had to compress a lot of the cool stuff that was along this coastline kind of changed up a lot of the design from what you see now. But I mean, it's a game. You know, it's a gamey version of San Francisco, not a one-to-one replica. I wish I could do it that way, but this map would be about four times bigger, and it's already pretty fucking big compared to the other ones. You know, there's a lot to fill in, and I fought them. And they told me to, dude, you need to cut it back by like 75%, and I was like, no. It's like we're not going to be able to fit in a lot of the cool stuff. But eventually, you know, looking at the map and realizing, yeah, shit, you know, this is pretty huge. And for little old me to just be the only one working on it, it's gonna be a ton. Oh, I don't like the way that shit. See, that's another reason why I don't like to do it this way. Still, the tool starts to do weird shit. So then I'll do this. I'll just Control Z this. Try to center this. That's the perfectionist anal part of me that sees something, it looks wrong, and I need to do something about it. Segment. Okay, that's too long. Starts to drag. If you go a little too far with it, notice the lag. Doesn't look good. Let's copy this. So yeah, completely went off topic, but regarding the tools, yeah, we need a better road tool for this. Something that's going to be more performant and faster to work with. Now, for this level, for what we've done so far, it's already too late. You know, we're kind of already set in that direction. If we make a new tool, then I'm going to have to come back and replace everything, which is going to take a ton of time. I mean, not that I'm not willing to do the work, but it's going to take a ton of time. Depending on the design of the new tool, you know, a good deal is going to have to be redone. At this point, with these last levels, I think we're locked in, but for future map development, I want a better tool to build these with, because even though this is a little quicker than laying out each segment of road one by one like I did at the beginning, this is still easier than that, and we can still make something that's a lot faster than this and better. But that'll be for like any future map development that we'll use it for. That way we can streamline the process even further. Rob was asking me, like, what tool do you think we should work on next to help speed up the level building process? And I pretty much just said, we should go with the procedural building generator. That's what we should focus on next, because we should have that ready by the time I get to finalizing the 3D models for the buildings, because we're going to need to bang those out like quick to populate this map. All the work is going to go into creating the modular sets for them. And that's it. We're just creating the 3D models, and we're using a procedural generator to bang out these buildings, so that we don't, I mean, some of them are definitely going to be one-offs, like the Transamerica building. So, however, some of these are going to have to be one-offs, because I'm not sure that a procedural building generator is going to be able to bang out such a unique shape. You know, that's like a straight up hero building. It's going to need extra attention. And a procedural building generator is just not going to, it's not going to do it. And you might. It's going to be a custom setup, but you know, we want one tool to bang out the most basic buildings, and then we'll do a one-off for the ones that just can't be done that way. You know, and then beyond that, an improved road tool would be the last thing we do for level building. It's like the work Rob did for the borders and building area. You know, the areas where you can build a base, the zone borders, those used to take days to a week max for setting up. You know, Stray Ember, that map is pretty big. It's like maybe around half the size of San Francisco. And that one took a week to set up all the zone borders and the building volumes. That's ridiculous. It's insane. It's not a very time it wasn't a very timely process. So I'm glad that, you know, Rob took the time to figure out a better way to do it because it made my job a lot easier. I was able to create the zone borders and the build volumes within one click. Most of the time was just spent drawing out the actual zone borders. So it also made it, wow, what's going on here? Yikes. Somebody's going nuts with the commits. All right, somebody just dumped a lot of work into the SVN. Okay, I'm gonna turn that off because okay. God, come on. Oh my god, I can't even fucking okay. Let's do it this way. It's only gonna close the window, huh? Yeah, it doesn't close it. Alright, let's exit that shit. Don't want that going off. Let's try and have that one there. Yeah, zone borders and the spaces where players can build. That used to take a long time. It was a slow process. And then when we had bugs or something went wrong or wasn't working in game, fixing, testing, well, not fixing, but like I guess adjusting, testing, readjusting, that became an even more time consuming process regarding that task. And it was just insane. I mean, if we were still doing it that way, I'd probably be going nuts. So I'm glad he came up with a better way, a quicker way of doing it. You know, all I have to do now is just draw the zone border, generate the collision mesh that detects players being in that area and allowing them to build, you know, texture generators. So if you plop a generator in that zone, it'll display how much power you have available and you can start building. It also keeps track of the population, the buildings connected to that zone, so on and so forth. And, you know, fixing any bugs that may come from it, super easy. You know, rebuilding It used to be that if the zone wasn't registering a player and allowing them to build, I would have to go look at the volumes and see what's going on. It's like, okay, there's no collision here, or this collision is broken. I'm gonna have to rebuild and replace it. And after doing that, you have to export it back to Unreal, update the mesh, jump in the level, test it, see what's going on. If it works, great. But then, between that, we have to rebuild nav, wait for that to rebuild, and then, it's all a waiting process. With the current tool that we have to build that, um, super quick, super quick. And get that done and move on to other work in the project. At this point, I think that's kind of, I'm going to need to, let's see. Readjust this, it's going off center a bit. I don't make that stretch too long. Damn, it's so hard to select these. So I'll copy this one, line it up back here. This could definitely go a lot faster. Shorter. Also notice this was a little detached. There we go. So add another segment. Continue on down. Yeah, it's a long way. So it'll go down this street, turn here, and then this is where the turnaround will be. Whoops. Okay. Come on. Doesn't appear to have added the link. Well, that's odd. It is attached. Why isn't it adding that segment? Okay. I guess that is why I stopped. using that. I don't understand why it all of a sudden isn't allowing me to add another one. Okay, let's delete it. Fuck it. Doesn't want to cooperate. See, this one added it. Bring it out. And now it doesn't want to add one. That's so weird. Crapped out on me. Alright, let's just use this segment then. Fuck it. But you see right now just how slow this process is going with just not having the right tool to do this. I mean, again, this is going faster than it would have gone with the old method. But it's still pretty damn slow. Just want to copy this over further down just in case it decides to stop working again. Is the track doing that? Okay, no, it's not. You see that one built it. Still pretty on center. Yeah, after a certain distance, it just gives up. It doesn't want to add any more segments. Okay, now I remember why I wasn't using that tool the way that I had intended to. Again, it's an old version of the blueprint. We plan to improve upon it when we make some time because I'm gonna get together with Rob and Dimitri to handle that. I mean, originally we were gonna have Dimitri build it, and I sent him a PDF of the kind of features I wanted on the tool, but more important matters took priority. So been using this old rickety one that we have right now, but you know, it works. I don't like the way that looks. Dude, how close do I got to get in there? It's doing it again. Doesn't want to add it back into. Okay, let's copy this over again. Almost there, almost to the end of the line. Really like this song. Find a way through, around, or over. Okay, so it'll continue through here, turn down this street, and then end up here. So we're bulldozing this. This is getting deleted. This is getting deleted. This. Yeah, even more than that, actually. This is going to turn into just a sidewalk connecting all the way down, and then I'm going to have the turnaround right here. But will it fit? And this is what I'm using as the guide right now. I'm actually going to model out this little area where you have the mechanism that turns the trolley. And then there's going to have to be a return track too. Maybe have it go up this street again and then back this way to this turnaround here where it will connect to this street and then back in. Sounds like a plan. I was hoping that we had a street. I don't want to make it go this way. It's weird. I mean, it could work. I think it's easier just to have it come back this way, turn at this street, and then right here. Or I could have it happen further up, like up here. We shall see. All right. Using that as the guide for it. So I'll bring this down. It's like about right there, I guess. It's a good place for it. I'll leave that there for now. segment. Still on center. Just copy this. Just wanted to get this built before the end of the day, or at least some of it. So I don't have to worry about it too much going forward. And there are a ton of other things I need to rebuild that got lost transferring from the old project, but nothing that can't be rebuilt easily. It just takes time. Like this railway system. We made this using PCG, or the PCG tools in Unreal. It might be more performant. I mean, I have worked with that a little bit, not enough to, get familiar with all the weird little quirks that come with it. But enough to where it felt all right. So can I add another segment? I was gonna trip again. Okay, it worked. Segment again. I'll take that one. And a rail for the return trip. That's not what I wanted. something will snap. Still thinking about what I'm going to do with the edge of the map in the south. It's still kind of in the back of my head right now because I'm going to need something down there. I mean, I could start adding scenery, but I'm going to need to extend some of the city into that, although it's going to be inaccessible. And then as far as like, I mean, there are visible borders, but players see a playable area or a playable area and they want to get into it, but I'm going to have that blocked off and then maybe have some kind of visible man-made border that was established at that point. You know, like barricades or walls that were created by the military to seal off that part of town. I don't know. We could do a myriad of things. And since again, this game takes place at the cusp of a pandemic, there wouldn't be a whole lot of stuff like that built yet. So I should probably do this. First, I'll copy that short track on this side. So I want to line it up. Okay, yeah, all right. And have the return rail just go like that. This. know what? Actually, I positioned this in the wrong spot. That's on me. That's why that turn looks a little fucking weird. Goes all the way back up the street. Now I need to decide where am I going to have it turn. I can have it turn at this street, at this park. I forgot the name of this park. Is it Mission Park? No, no. I think that's further south. Uh, Forgot what it was called. Should probably look on Google Earth. Closed it by accident. Washington Square. That's what that park is supposed to be. Come on now. So yeah, still dealing with a tweaked elbow. Pretty much injured my elbow a couple of weeks ago working out, and was doing well until last night. I slept on it in a weird way, and it aggravated it again. So now it's like, okay, I need to ice it, get some heat on it as well, stretch it. And it's pretty much the tendon on the backside right there. It sucks because I haven't been doing any upper body other than push-ups, which doesn't seem to irritate it, oddly enough. But if I grab a dumbbell, it'll hurt like hell. So it kind of sucks because I've had to lay off the upper body stuff for a bit. So I'm currently relegated to just legs and, a little bit of abs. And I don't mind doing legs, man. I had a pretty good run getting my arms back into shape. So I was able to, increase the weight, but I guess, that's pretty much what ended up messing me up is maybe I went up too soon. Maybe I should have waited. Right. Did I I copy this? No, I need to copy it again. Still centered. I believe me, I am so tempted to just jump into Chat GPT and be like, okay, this is what I got so far as the blueprint for this tool I'm using. Tell me how I can add this, this, and that, or improve it. See what it spits out. Or maybe just build it from scratch. You know, for the roads. Oh, why did it do that? I already spent enough time building that clutter tool, and I want to get back to populating this level. Getting it closer to completion. So there's a ton of detail that needs to go into this. I do want to get a good amount of it done before the end of the month. It's back a little bit. It's not lined up well. It looks decent. Oh, what happened to the tangent there? Okay, there it is. It's looking a little weird at first, but there we go. It's still looking pretty weird. Let me dial it back. Okay, I think a little more. Okay. You see right there, just the a result of the initial approach, replacing roads. It's having those little gaps. No, not at the other end. Add it over here. And now get that out of the way. There we go. Wait up. Not yet. Hold on. Did I copy it? No. All right. All right. So maybe I should have it turn at Washington Park, like either at this street here, so I can go down here all the way to the end, or right here. Hmm. Doesn't want to add any more. Ugh. Can't wait until I'm done building this. So I think I'll have it turn here. Looks like the best spot to do that from. So copy this segment over. All right. Annoying. Let's add a segment. That wants to stop working. This is why we need a better road tool. This one. although it is working for now. It's not perfect. Let's make sure there's no gap. It's good. Let's get this a little better in the center. A little more centered, I mean. A little better in the center. So like from right there, maybe I'll have it make its turn onto this street. Let's copy this. Time 7:30. All right, I think this is a good point to take a break. I've been at it all day. Takes a while to save now with all the shit I'm going to be putting into it. I'm going to take a short break. Continue this after dinner. But, you know, the work on San Francisco continues. Just detail pass. Starting to get some of this stuff in. You know, the trees, the props. You know, it's slow going. You know, it's just me. So it's like going through these areas and saying, okay, what else can I add? You know, there's definitely some 3D modeling I need to do for the turning mechanism, for the trolleys, the bleachers, these cement bleachers, concrete bleachers, whatever they are, they gotta go here. I need to modify this mesh a bit. I need to stretch these steps out a little more. They're way too steep to the point that we're not getting any nav on the steps. So it's just like a dead end for units. They won't traverse down the steps, which is not what I want. I actually want them to be able to go down the steps onto the beach. And right now that is not possible with the way I have this set up. I'm pretty damn sure I used the ramp for the steps, for the collision on the steps. The only thing I need to do, I guess, is maybe stretch them out a little more so they come out further and the slope isn't as aggressive to the point where it, you know, halts the navigation from generating on that. But I'm going to continue building the rail. I still have to go down this street actually right here. This is, no, I did it at this one, yeah. It's going to turn here, go down to this street, and then go back up here and reconnect. I'm going to rebuild the rest of this rail going down to this point because that's the end of grid 1. And once I move into this area, I'll build the rest of it because this bad boy goes all the way down here to the metro station, which is this yard right here. So it's a good chunk of work to be done. What is this? Completely forgot what this is. Okay, this is the hospital. Sorry. It goes here. This is the metro yard. Metro rail. But yeah, it's going to go all the way down the road into that area. So a lot to be done. I mean, getting closer and closer to the end on San Francisco. It's going to be one of the biggest maps I've ever worked on for this game. A lot of playable real estate we're going to add to the open world map, which includes the original map, Treasure Island, and Angel Island. I'm not sure if they're going to let me extend Angel Island to its full size. I'm still pushing for that, but I think it's best to kind of finish San Francisco first before adding anything else, because I've got a lot of work to do. So with this on top of any bug fixes I need to do, or collision adjustments, or just anything else I have to address that happens during gameplay, you know, it's going to be a slow process, but the work is going to get done. That's for sure. And it's just a matter of staying on top of it. But yeah, I'm going to call it for now. This is going to be it for today. It's been a long day with a plethora of different tasks that needed to be done, including some level work on San Francisco. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the stream, hit like, hit follow. I try to get on every Tuesday, Thursday afternoon at around 4 o'clock. Sometimes I get on later. Again, you know, I get locked in on the work. I lose track of time, and sometimes I just don't want to break focus. And the stream is sort of just a way of keeping players or anybody interested in the project up to date on what I'm working on and, you know, what's going on. So thank you for watching. Appreciate the likes, appreciate the views. But I'm gonna decompress for a bit and then get back on it. So have a good night and see you on Thursday.